on the broadcast of Power 4.4 Radio are solely the opinions of the individuals involved and does not represent those of Power 4.4 Radio or Live 365. Power 4.4 Radio is not responsible for any information reported on the program. Today's show is sponsored by Mastermind Photography and Designs. Contact them for all your photography and design needs at 443-226-2429. Let them know that Power 4.4 Radio sent you and follow them on social media at JH3MM. Book your appointment today and make today last forever.
If you're moving, you should call Focus Movers. We got trucks and crews, call Focus Movers. 443-506-7905. We can handle it. We got skill to cover it all. Pack and load and take away your stress. Anywhere they're at for your relocation. 24/7 services. Get a free quote and miss out on it. If you're moving, you should call Focus Movers. We got trucks and crews, call Focus Movers.
Join us each and every Monday at 6 p.m. as we bring to you Ladies Night with the Hustle Queens. I'm Cinnamon.
And I'm Stoney. And as always,
Keep hustling, Queens. Greetings. It's your Queen of Trauma Drama, Evangelist Dr. Tony Terry, asking you to join me every Sunday for the Hour of Power radio show, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Power 4.4 Radio. This is a place where you can speak your trauma and eliminate your drama. Again, that's every Sunday, 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. on Power 4.4 Radio.
This is Kid Kong. Tune into Toon World every Saturday from 8 to 9 p.m. on Power 4.4 Radio.
You're listening to Power 4.4 Radio with the Power of Influence with Dr. E every other Friday, 8 p.m. to 9, right here on Power 4.4 Radio. But make sure you download that app Live 365 and look for Power 4.4. It is where people are the power.
Hey there, this is Michael Braxton with Health Tips and Hip Hop. What's going on in your garden of health? Join me with my radio family at Power 4.4 every Wednesday from 6 p.m. until 7 p.m.
What up, ladies and gentlemen? This is Derek Durrell Dixon right here. I'm talking with 3D right here on Power 4.4, where the people are the power. Listen, I'm here every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, so tell a friend and make sure that you tune in because we are always going to be sipping the coffee and spilling the tea, so don't miss it. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time right here, Power 4.4, because you know what? The people are the power.
Tune in to FNL Radio every Tuesday from 6 to 7 with your boy, your host, King JTH. It's your boy, your host, King JTH, back here with episode 2 of Family New Life Radio, FNL Radio. Today, our first topic will be on the NCAA men's and women's tournaments that just went by this weekend. First off, the Final Four for the women's and the men's went exactly how I expected. First, I'm going to talk about the women's. South Carolina blew out NC State. I expected it, maybe not to the degree, maybe not by 19, but I expected them to win by like 10 to 15 points. Then we had a really, really entertaining game with Iowa and UConn. Some people saying it's a controversial call. Some people saying it was a clean call, but at best, the game would have went into overtime. Unless you're South Carolina, what I'm going to get into a little bit, do you really want to play Caitlin Clark in overtime? You had Paige Beckers, you know, one of the best female college basketball players. Had a couple injuries coming back, so very interesting because a lot of people who are Caitlin Clark haters was trying to compare Paige to Caitlin. Paige is a great athlete, top 5 college basketball player right now, but there's levels. Caitlin Clark was able to help move Iowa past UConn in a close game. I believe she dropped like 37. Then you had Iowa and South Carolina, which was, I think, the outside of non-NFL games, was like the most viewed game over the past year, at least over the past year.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
It was the most viewed ESPN cast, besides I think 5 college games and maybe some NFL games, but it had more than any NBA finals, WNBA finals, MLB World Series games in the last couple years or something like that. It got views. A lot of people tuned into it.
That was very, very impressive. I believe it was about 24 or 25 million views. I definitely watched the game, and early on, it looked like my prediction was going to be right because Iowa was up 20-4, and Caitlin Clark had about 18 points in the first quarter. It was looking like scary times. But South Carolina, they put everybody on it. They put everybody on, and they were like, "We slow Caitlin Clark down. We're gonna win." If she, I'm not expecting 18 points a quarter is kind of crazy, but if she would have kept on scoring maybe about 9 points a quarter on average and had like 45, I think Iowa could have won. But yeah, 30 wasn't cutting it. I was expecting Caitlin Clark to go off for 40, and if you told me that she dropped 40, I would have said Iowa won by a few points. But you told me she dropped 30, I would have said Iowa lost by maybe not 12, but maybe by like 7 points. Late, this is like after the first quarter, South Carolina's like, okay, we gotta stop playing around. We gotta stick to team basketball because that's what's been helping us win. This South Carolina team, talent wise, you could probably argue that it greatest women's basketball team of all time. Teams that they played, the players that they beat, but I gotta respect the 40-0 Baylor team in 2012, as well as UConn. UConn went undefeated several times, and they also have a 40-0 season in 2014. I have to respect that, but talent-wise, they're definitely up there. And Don Stanley, to me, is one of the 4 or 5 best female college coaches of all time. She's really putting her name up there with Gino, Pat, Kim, things of that nature. Now we're going to talk about what does this hurt Caitlin Clark's legacy, not winning the national championship, as far as putting her up there with other all-time great female college basketball players?
I think it will definitely hurt her legacy a tiny bit. Like, it'll always be missed opportunity. She went to 2 finals, couldn't get the victory. But this is also just a small part of her career. She's going to go number 1, most likely go number 1 in the WNBA draft. And she's going to have a long, successful career there. She's going to have several opportunities to bring more popularity to that league. She's going to have many opportunities to win a championship. I think this is just stage 1. There's several more stages to go, and she's going to have a great career following ahead.
Yeah, I agree. 2 things can be true. Caitlin Clark is one of the greatest female basketball players, at least at the college level, which I believe she's going to translate well into the WNBA level. She is one of the greatest.
That's not last year?
Yeah, she's declaring NBA draft as low as Angela Reese. But you also, without that ring, you can't put her in certain conversations. Charles Barkley is one of the best NBA players of all time, but you can't put them in certain conversations with other champions. And that's how I look at Caitlin Clark when it comes to female basketball. I'll put it in the same. I'll put it in a conversation with other all-time great female basketball players that didn't win. If we're talking about the best of all time, she might be higher. She might be top 10. But I feel like there's a big difference between the best and the greatest, and that's what a lot of debates come from in different GOAT debates. Like, how much do you value accolades over performance and all of that? But I can't put her in the same, as far as greatness, I can't put her in the same conversation as Cheryl Miller or Paula McGree or Mae Moore, or even her peers Angela Reese, who defeated her in the championship game. This year, Caitlin Clark was better. She sent her home packing, but South Carolina didn't send Caitlin Clark home packing too. But she's still a very talented basketball player, to the point to where I saw something that Bronny and Caitlin Clark should 1v1 for the rights to go into the NBA. I saw that on the Instagram post. People were kind of trolling, but that's how great she is. And you don't get those comparisons often as a female athlete. Now I'm gonna briefly talk about the men's as well. I expected Purdue to beat NC State. I really didn't expect even NC State team to make it to the finals, which wound up happening.
Why not?
I feel like they just didn't match up talent wise with the other teams. I felt like they overachieved even getting to the Final Four. They overachieved. The maximum I really saw for both was like the Sweet 16, maybe Elite 8, and they both overachieved that. I expected UConn to beat Alabama, but I thought that was going to be like a really close game, a 5-point game, maybe even a 3-point game. And I got my prediction right on UConn beating Purdue. I thought it would be a little bit closer. But man, UConn back-to-back, that has not been done in a very, very, very long time when it comes to the men's game. Especially like with Zach dropping 37 and 10, I would really think it would have been a very close game. If you would have told me he dropped 37 and 10, I might have picked Purdue. I would have been wrong if I retracted. But if you told me he dropped 37 and 10 this game, I'm like, yeah, Purdue probably wins, because that's the type of performance that I would expect for him to have in order for Purdue to win. But they still pretty much almost got blown out. You can debate that they actually did get blown out. Anybody got any thoughts on the rest of the NCAA men's and women's tournaments?
No.
Yes. One thing that I saw that I'm just glad to see that we're having more conversation in reference to bringing the women's teams into the kind of what I would call notoriety as well. Because the only way to really grow certain sports, which women have been around for quite a while, but it's not as seen. And the way to do it is by starting young and being able to go to the WNBA. I'm glad that it's being televised and being seen more. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I would like to add on to that. So it's pretty well known men's basketball gets more media attention than women's basketball. But this is the first year where on social media I've seen a lot more WNBA stuff, and I've been paying more attention to it because I find it more entertaining, at least this year, and I'm seeing it a lot more. I don't think people realize the impact Caitlin Clark's going to have women's basketball for years to come, because she kind of she grew the sport, not by herself, but she was a big reason that it's getting so much tournament recognition. Last year in the tournament, when Iowa finished second, that's when it started getting popular because she went off. This year, it's gone off even more, where there's more stars coming in, and yeah, it's getting a lot more popular, which I like to see.
Yeah, me personally, I was a lot more intrigued on NCAA women's basketball tournament than the men's, especially once we got to the Elite Eight. Because once we got to the Elite Eight, I kind of was like, I don't see anybody beating UConn. They have the most experience. They've been there, done that. They've been number one for most of the year, or top three for most of the year. Versus the women's, it was like, I felt like Iowa, LSU, and South Carolina all had chances to win. Mm-hmm. Because Iowa and LSU had the two best players, and South Carolina had the best team. So yeah, I'm very excited to see what Angela Reese and Caitlin Clark does in the WNBA. Very, very excited.
Yeah, I think it's very important that we shine light on women as well as because men's basketball has been a male dominant sport for forever. So it's like now that I just looked up the draft. I didn't never know when the WNBA draft was until I just looked. So I think it brings an experience to people to learn more about women's basketball as well. Because I didn't know women's had a draft, to be honest with you, until everybody was saying, "Oh, she's entering the draft."
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't know how that process worked. I thought they just signed a player from college, and that's pretty much it.
Well, I'm gonna transition to. I'm gonna give you my top to the NBA. I'm gonna give you my top 10 NBA players in the league. I will say this.
This is now?
Yeah, right now. Because Joel Embiid was injured for a lot of the season, I won't have him in the top 10. I want to see what happens in the playoffs. I will put that disclaimer because I know everybody will be like, well, where's Embiid at? Mm-hmm. For number 10, I have SGA. He might have been, if he kept on averaging about 31, 32, he might have been higher, but since the All-Star break, I mean, he's still been elite, still been one of the best players in the NBA. His numbers went from like 32 to 28 since the 28 points per game since the All-Star break. But OKC has been fighting for a 1 seed the whole season, right now they're a game behind. They're in that 1-3 range as Denver, Minnesota, OKC is all battling. This is the most competitive division in basketball by far. I'm very excited to see what he might do in the playoffs. I really want to see what he does in the playoffs before I rank him higher because he only went one time, and that was with Chris Paul. They took the Rockets 7 games, but he was really young back then. This team is not even the same team. This team is really young, but one of the most exciting young teams in the NBA. If the season ended today, they would play Phoenix in the first round, and I don't know who I'm picking.
What team is this?
The Oklahoma City Thunder.
Oh, I'm gonna say Phoenix.
I can see it going either way. I might take experience over the young cats, but man, the Thunder have home court advantage. I'm talking about Thunder have home court advantage. Man, I would have to think about it. I might pick Phoenix, but that's going 6 or 7 for sure.
Yeah.
I have Anthony Davis, number 9. When he's healthy, he's one of the best players in the league. I trust him a lot more than most players when healthy. Only thing is, he's probably the only number 2 that's on this top 10.
Mm-hmm.
But when he's on, he's on. He's playing with that dude. That's why to a degree he looks like a number 2. But fully healthy Anthony Davis, especially during those Pelican days, the Warriors wasn't in the conference.
Yeah.
You might have a little bit different conversations about him.
You would change your mind a little bit
What?
on the conversation about him. You said that you would change the conversation a little bit if he was with another team.
I'm saying what I'm saying is, like, in his prime, like, if he didn't have to go up against the Warriors in that Western Conference, or who else he was.
Warriors can be beat.
I'm saying the KD Warriors back then.
Oh yeah, that's
like the only other team I would say he wouldn't have a chance against is the Rockets and maybe the Spurs, but Kawhi was also getting hurt a lot. He's been a top 5 big man in the league forever. Number 8, give me the Claw. Give me Kawhi Leonard. Health is probably another reason why I don't have him as high. He hasn't been, as affected like his consistency. But when he's on, he's on. And in the playoffs, there's not a lot of players that I trust more than Kawhi. Number 7, give me the sniper. Give me Kevin Wayne Durant. Mr. I can drop 30 on any given night in anybody's head. Now he's a little older.
I was about to say, them knees getting old.
If it was prime KD, you'd probably be a little higher, but for a game-winning shot, there's not a lot of players in the NBA. I'm taking over Kevin Durant. I want to see teams like Phoenix and Golden State and Lakers, or at least one of them advance. But at the same time, I kind of do want to see the young boys, Shea and Ant-Man. It's going to be the Western Conference. It's going to be very entertaining to watch. I think I'm going to be happy with every single matchup. I feel like I'm going to be happy with. Because out east, there's only 4 teams I care about. I don't like Boston, but you gotta mention them as far as teams you at least care to see. I care to see them lose. Milwaukee, I care about Milwaukee. I care about Miami. I care about New York. That's it. Because like Orlando to me is just a fun team. I don't really expect much. Same with Indiana. And Embiid, I had to see it in the playoffs consistently. Like, I'm out on the Embiid train because that man let me down last year. They should have been able to close out Boston in Game 6.
Yeah.
They let it go to Game 7, and Jason Tatum dropped 51 on them. Number 6, speaking of, who else I said? The Knicks. The Knicks is another team out east, if I didn't mention it before. But out west, I care about every single team that's in the playoffs. Maybe outside of maybe New Orleans and Sacramento. But even then, I'm kind of intrigued. Number 6, give me Jason Tatum. Tatum, he's just like, he confuses me. I feel like he does sacrifice stats for wins in the playoffs. It's like I trust him, but I don't trust him in the same time. Early rounds, first 2 rounds, I trust him. Third round, it's iffy. It's iffy. And then the finals, granted, there's only one finals. He wasn't really trustworthy. He wasn't as bad as people like to say, but I see him consistently perform the way I'm used to seeing him perform. In certain moments, I do trust him. He's had the clutch genes at some point. Some moments he hasn't. Like he dropped 46, I believe, on the Bucks in Game 7. That year he went to the finals. Last year he dropped 51 on the 76ers. But then he had moments like against the Heat. Granted, he was injured.
He was cold.
Yeah, he was injured, but they shouldn't have been down 3-0 in the first place. Right. He had moments like against the Warriors. Mm-hmm. So I just want to see him be consistent for a whole playoff run. But I still do believe he's definitely one of the top 10 players in the NBA. And I feel like you could debate him, KD, and Kawhi. That's kind of like, they all like had their own tier. Number 5, Chef Curry, the greatest shooter in NBA history. Man, I hope the Warriors really get it together. I kind of want to see them play the Lakers in the play-in, but at the same time, that means one of them don't make it to the. That means either Curry doesn't make it or LeBron doesn't make it to the playoffs. Anyway, because I'm probably going on too long. Speaking on the king, give me LeBron as the best player in America still. That was born in America at number 4. Man, if he can go on a run, I just outside of Denver and maybe Dallas, I can see experience playing a big role for the Lakers. Mm-hmm. To me, they have one of the 2 or 3 best duos in the league. Probably the most talented duo in the league still. They have top 2 player in NBA history, although he's on the decline. That's how great this man is.
You're talking about LeBron.
Yes, this man is 39 years old. And you can still argue he's the best player in America. And best players born in America still.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. There's not many that I trust more than LeBron, especially in these upcoming playoffs, if the Lakers do make it. Number 3 is really hard. I'm gonna say Giannis. The last 2 years since the championship, I've been a little bit disappointed
in his play,
specifically in the playoffs. Granted, he did get hurt versus Miami, but you could argue he could at least got 2 games. And Chris Middleton got hurt versus the Celtics a couple years ago. Granted, all of that happened. But I've seen great moments, like he dropped 50 on Phoenix in the finals, doing finals MVP. Beating that Brooklyn team is very impressive, even though they didn't have all. They just had James Harden and Kevin Durant. That team was stacked. Nobody was supposed to beat that Brooklyn team. But there was also moments where a wall was like, people built the wall. Miami built the wall. Toronto built the wall. It slowed Giannis down, and that's how they were able to win. I want to see 2021 Giannis again. I don't want to see 2019 Giannis. I don't want to see 2020 Giannis. Number 2, this man averages 34, 9, and 10. I'm rounding up.
Trying to think. Who is it?
Luka Doncic. To me, talent-wise, he might be number 1. The only other person plays in San Antonio. You can argue he should be in the Defensive Player of the Year, like one of the greatest rookies I've ever seen. I thought I was only going to be able to say that for the NFL this year with CJ Stroud. But Victor Wembanyama is also one of the greatest rookies I've ever seen. Man, it's nothing that he can't do at this point. The only thing that will hold him back is Dallas. But number one, just like in the NFL, to beat a champ, you gotta beat the champ. Till somebody beat this man, he's the undisputed king of the NBA, Nikola Jokic. Anybody else have a top 10?
No, I don't.
Well, let your co-host speak.
Okay, it's Simon's turn.
Here's just some thoughts I have about what's going on in the entertainment world. I think the first big one I want to discuss is like how Warner Brothers has announced that they're doing yet another Matrix movie. This is kind of a big one because this is the first one in which the Wachowskis will not be involved. I think Lana Wachowski is going to be a executive producer on the film, but other than that, like they're like not directing and they're not writing it. The film instead is going to be handled by Drew Goddard, who previously wrote films like The Martian, Cloverfield, and World War Z, and also was the director of Cabin in the Woods and Bad Times at the El Royale. Now this definitely wasn't it. This is definitely a interesting thing because because Warner Brothers, like most other major studios, is more willing to basically milk franchises to death rather than just move on and try to find something new. And frankly, since they're not willing to let the Matrix franchise die, this frankly only seems like the most most logical conclusion they would come to, since in 2021, The Matrix Resurrections, which is the fourth Matrix film and was meant to sort of be a return to the franchise, in which Lana Wachowski returned to write and direct, was a disappointment was certainly a disappointment when it came to critics and audiences, and really and certainly did underperform at the box office, though that may in part have been due to COVID, but still the reception to Resurrections was certainly not glowing. So of course it would seem likely that Warner's would ultimately decide to bring in someone else to helm the franchise, which I always have mixed thoughts whenever those sort of things happen, since I guess if a franchise is going to continue, I suppose other fresher voices have to have to add their takes on it, rather than just relying on the same people to tell the same thing over and over again. But at the same time, though, the Matrix is clearly the Wachowskis' vision. I know the Wachowskis can be pretty divisive filmmakers, but still if you know anything about the Wachowskis, you can definitely see a lot of their life experiences in the Matrix. So, not much is really, Warner has not really released not much is really known about the movie yet. There's no plot synopsis or if any of the actors from the previous movies are going to return, so, I'm not sure there's even a release date yet, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see, even if the movie, unless, of course, Warner decides to shelve it because they're run by idiots. And some other news, Snoop World.
Snoop.
This is apparently a movie that surrealist filmmaker David Lynch was developing along with Carolyn Thompson, who was the writer for Nightmare Before Christmas and Edward Scissorhands. This was apparently going to be an animated film that And Lynch says he still wants to make it, but apparently Netflix apparently rejected it. It was according to Lynch, apparently he said the movie was apparently like this sort. He said it was a kind of an old-fashioned story, and it was currently just like this sort of like this old-fashioned fairy tale type of story. And apparently he said that audiences nowadays just really aren't that interested in that sort of stuff. Though he said that he's still trying to get the movie made. I kind of thought this whole story was kind of interesting because I guess this is like this is like an animated project from David Lynch, and also I think this might actually be his first kids film, since he actually said that it was a story that both kids and adults can enjoy. So if you know anything about David Lynch, this is certainly something I definitely kind of hope this movie gets made, and because I kind of want to see what it turns out. Yeah. Oh, another thing. Marvel has made some announcements on their upcoming Fantastic Four movie. Apparently, they've announced that the Silver Surfer will apparently be a part of the movie, but it's going to be a much different version of the Silver Surfer than most people may be familiar with. As instead of going with the more well-known version of the Surfer, which is a man named Norin Rad. This version of the Silver Surfer is going to be a female named Shalabal. I think I may have pronounced that wrong, but anyway, the point of being is that now the Silver Surfer in this new movie is going to be a female rather than a male, as it's usually been portrayed. Which of course is going to inspire the worst people in the world to crawl out of the woodwork to of course deny this as woke culture and stuff and other garbage like that. Even though they're not even though this is an already pre-established character in the Marvel comics who actually has been the Silver Surfer for a brief while, and so they're not simply taking a pre-existing character who was male and just making them female. It's an already existing character who already existed, and but it does seem like they're going to they're going to give her the male Silver Surfer's backstory. So yeah. Oh, and also I guess one last story. Francis Ford Coppola's Megapolis. This is apparently a project that Coppola has been developing since the 80s. It's apparently it's been fully completed. It's and now it's apparently going to be now has a spot shown at Cannes. Apparently it's going to be shown at the Cannes Film Festival. But the big problem that a lot of people are saying is that it might have issues finding a distributor. The film was independently funded, and apparently has a budget for $100 million, which for an independent film is pretty expensive. And it's a pretty well-known well-known A-list cast. But its budget and somewhat surreal, and it's the movie itself may prove difficult to find a distributor, but we'll just have to wait and see how it goes. And so that's kind of all I really have to really want to share at the moment. So we'll just move on to Jordan.
Since we're on the topic of entertainment, I'll be talking about the Kendrick versus Drake and Cole beef. Yeah. So basically, this all started in 2013 on the song "Control" made by Big Sean featuring Kendrick, and Kendrick decided to call out all of the famous rappers during that time, including J. Cole and Drake, by saying that he's gonna be better than them. And then Cole decided to clap back by directly talking to him and asking, what was that for? I thought that we were good. I mean, we made you, basically. And then later, Drake, he wasn't with that. He wasn't really, he was kind of mad still. So he went to Kendrick after the song came out a couple of days later and said, no, stand on business, stand on what you said. So basically, so the beef went on. And then Kendrick then commented that it wasn't any beef with that. I wasn't being really serious. I'm just showing that I'm really competitive when it comes to the rap game. And then they made up and it went on from there. After that, Drake and Cole made a song, and they made a comment about how we're the big three and how Kendrick is under them, and which got Kendrick really mad. So this is now currently with the song Like That with Future on it.
As you hear in the intro.
Oh, I thought you were gonna.
Oh no,
Okay.
I'm gonna let you go before I start talking.
So after that, Kendrick decided to say, I don't know if I can curse on the show, so I'm just gonna say, he said, forget the big three, I'm just big me. And everything just went downhill from that. And then he went on to say that he is Prince and Drake is Michael Jackson, because Drake loves to compare himself to Michael Jackson these days, and saying that Prince outlasted Michael Jackson, meaning that Kendrick's work is going to outlast Drake and Cole's work all together. And that's what I have.
Okay.
So, next,
I wanted to say something about it. First, I like Marvel, so I hope that goes well. But I'm gonna talk about this. J. Cole, I did like the song that he dropped. I was like, yes, I'm like, yes, you can't back down. To me, you can't back down. That's like me saying that I'm better than Stephen A. Smith. Let's have a one-on-one live debate, and then saying, you know what, Stephen A. Smith, I'm sorry, you better than me. I'll never be on your level. That's why I feel like J. Cole did. 'Cause to me, it's like a sport. It's like a sport. You have to have a certain level of confidence, and to a degree, you have to have a certain level of delusion to be as great as you is. When I get on this mic, I have to believe that nobody on planet Earth is better than me and my coworkers. I have to believe that to be able to perform at the level that I do, and I actually believe that. Whether it's delusion or not, I actually believe that. So, to me, as far as the rap side of it, I feel like it taints his legacy a little bit. As far as we just talking about rap. We're just talking about rap.
Who legacy?
J. Cole.
I don't think so. I just took it as he took the high road. And everybody it's been comparison on Twitter. It's been actually trending for the last 2 days. When Jay-Z apologized to Nas about dissing him, and said he went too far.
See, that's after the fact though. He said sorry.
It was after a song, a second song, but he initiated the first song, and then Nas responded, and then he came back with another song.
But that's the same. A lot of people, some people still put Nas over Jay-Z because he beat him one-on-one. Some people put Tupac over Biggie because he beat him one-on-one. It's still relevant.
Debatable. J. Cole is better than Kendrick, in my opinion. Because he speak more realness. He's speaking with realness. He authentic of things that he do. That's why when he said what he was saying, he was like, "That's not even me," and he apologized. He just took the high road. Sometimes you gotta be the bigger person in fights.
That's true. That's true. So, Nick,
Sometimes you got. Huh?
No, you're right. You're right.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta be the bigger person.
All right. So the thing I'm gonna talk about, fortunately, is not entertainment or basketball, but it's football. And now that the off season is here, there's still a lot of stuff happening that it's not as big as when the football season's happening, but there's still a lot of interesting stuff. And I know most of the people who will see this or listen to this will be Ravens fans. And as much as you're going to hate to hear it, the Steelers are ready to become kings of the North again. And whether you like it or not, about to take the division and go even farther. They've had some crazy good signings, some crazy good offseason moves, and we're getting ready for the draft, and I think we're going to blow it out. We got...
Are you a Pittsburgh fan?
Of course.
I mean, because the way you was talking, I had to ask. I'm sorry. Continue.
So we, as most people have probably heard by now who follow the NFL, we've had two big offseason moves to get Russell Wilson and Justin Fields. We got them both for very little, and they had lots of upside. Russell Wilson, as most people know who follow football once again, he's a veteran. He's about middle-aged, 35, 36, older QB. Was dominant with Seattle for 10 years, won a Super Bowl. Then he got traded to the Denver Broncos in a big blockbuster trade. Most people know that didn't work out for Denver, and they fortunately had to cut him. But he wasn't. A lot of people, when they think of Russell Wilson last year, they don't think he was really bad. But in reality, people think that because he wasn't as good as he was on Seattle. He definitely took a step back. I still think he's more than capable of producing at an average to a bit above average QB level, and that's really all the Steelers need. Kenny Pickett, I was never a fan of him. I'm glad we got rid of him, but he was terrible. I thought he was the worst QB in the league, if not one of the worst, and we still managed to win 10 games. I think with Russell Wilson, who's an average QB, at least in my opinion, we can take it to the next step and win 11, 12, 13 games as long as we don't have a whole lot of injuries. And then Justin Fields. We got him for a 6th-round pick. Kenny Pickett, who was much worse than him, went for a 4th. Mac Jones, much worse than him, went for a 6th. And he got traded from the Bears mainly because they had the 1st overall pick, and Caleb Williams, can't miss prospect for most people, so they're like, we'll trade him, we can't miss out on this guy, no point having 2 keys on our roster, so we got him for basically dirt. Got him for a 6th-round pick, and even though he probably won't start this year, he's still got a lot of potential to be the next QB for the Pittsburgh Steelers. Lots of potential, super athletic, and wasn't too bad either. I don't know if he was average, but he was definitely not a terrible quarterback. Like I wouldn't say he was a bottom 10 QB last year. Still did decent, and I'm proud that we got those two. And the other thing about Russell Wilson is we signed him for $1 million. That's cheaper than probably 99% of the starting QBs besides like Brock Purdy and maybe 1 or 2 others. $1 million for a starting QB is dirt cheap. So glad we got that signing. And then, as your Raven fans probably know, Patrick Queen, your old inside linebacker, just signed with us for 3 years. Super proud of that signing. A lot of people have him going in free agency to get $20 million. He only got, I'm not sure the exact amount, but it was somewhere between $13 and $16 million for 3 years. I thought that was also a very cheap and good deal for the Steelers to sign him, especially since he was a good linebacker last year, top 10 in the league last year, and he's getting better every year of his career. 4 first-round picks, super athletic. Even if he stays the same, he's at least a top 15 inside linebacker, and he's still young. He has potential to develop in maybe a top 5 or maybe even all-pro if we're dreaming. So those are 3 of the big signings. We had a couple other smaller signings just for depth pieces or lower-level players, but in my opinion, the Pittsburgh Steelers have the best offseason of any team this season so far. The draft still hasn't come. Even when the draft does come, we won't know how those work out until after the season. I mean, last year, the Lions, people said, oh, they drafted Jahmyr Gibbs too high. there was another Jack Campbell, inside linebacker, and I think pick 17 or 18, and said he got drafted too high. But those turned out to be good picks. Just because you reach on a player in the draft, if you're high on them and they turn out well, it's a good pick. If you're high on a player, go for it. And they ended up having one of the best drafts of any team last year, maybe the best, when people were saying they had the worst. So I'm excited to see how the draft turns out, on top of how the Steelers do, beating the Ravens twice again. And all that.
One of the games we gave y'all.
No, I mean, a win is a win. I give them that.
Hopefully we don't lose to the Chiefs in the championship, though, like y'all did.
I think the one key piece that you're missing there is that all of those players got to gel. One.
Yeah.
Two, those two quarterbacks that you named, they wasn't even in your top 10 last week when we talked about sports.
Oh, I agree. I never said top 10 QBs.
They wasn't in
You
your top
said
10.
mid, which is like 16.
Yeah, I said mid. That's all.
They wasn't in your top 10, so they top 10 meaning
Lamar and Joe Burrow.
meaning they have to. Joe Burrow was bad. So how did he overcome Russell Wilson? Last year he didn't even play.
Because he's still a QB. But the thing is, a miscommunication in the league is, yes, having an elite QB does certainly help your team, but it's super common for teams with below average QBs, top average QBs, or even like just a bit above average. You don't need an elite QB. Jimmy Garoppolo, 2020, he's a backup now. He's not even that good. But he was an average QB, and he helped lead his team to a Super Bowl. They lost in the Super Bowl, but you don't need an elite QB. If you have a top 15 QB, game manager, can control the game, do what he needs to, and you have a good team around him, like a good defense, they can do wonders.
In the AFC with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow, Josh Allen, and C.J. Stroud, you need an elite QB to win a playoff game.
Heck no. If you got an elite
You
defense,
can make it to the play. I can see the Steelers winning 11 games, 12 games. I think 13 is a little high
yeah, I agree
because
with that.
I don't think they're going to run it north.
Yeah, they're not winning the North because
Yeah, we are.
the AFC North
I don't
is
think
too
so. And
stacked.
and he's betting all of his money on Patrick Queen.
Y'all might be second
Oh,
at
no, I'm not
best.
betting on
I still don't even see that. I think the AFC North is too stacked for them to win it, and I think the top of the AFC is too stacked for them to win a playoff game. I can see them being the 6th seed and giving somebody a good fight, but this is how dangerous we were since we got Derrick Henry. The Chiefs won the Super Bowl, and everybody is building their team to beat us.
Yes.
You know how crazy that is?
Yes.
Everybody's like, I don't even care about the Chiefs. Let's beat the Ravens.
Well, you know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of when Pittsburgh had Jerome Bettis, and everybody was trying to stack up against the bus.
Yep. That's going to be Derrick Henry with Lamar. That is going to be a scary duo.
Yeah. So
That is.
I would say yeah, they made a bunch of great off-signing deals, but all of that stuff has to show in the game. And just like every other NFL team, injuries can play a huge part in this.
Oh yeah. Next up, I'm gonna do blind rankings. It's gonna be about anything, but I'm gonna do it for Mr. Jaggers over here. Blind rank 10 Power Universe characters based off of savages.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
Oh my
Give him
goodness.
five.
One through 10.
Give him 5.
Yeah.
Power is a lot of great characters, so I feel like I can get 10 off pretty quick because I know that.
Power.
Yes. First one up, Diana Tejada, Dirty Diana.
Yeah, I would say that. Then
10 being the lowest, and 1 being the highest, based off of savageness.
I like young 50.
And 50.
Yeah, I like when he was young. Well, Tyreek, Tyreek, because it's about his life, you know.
Yeah.
And then I'm thinking,
Where you want to put her?
the other brother. I'm trying to think because I'm terrible with the names.
Ghost. Ooh.
Well, Ghost.
You think of Kane? Which?
Well, no, I said actually Kane was the younger number 4. Was number 4, and then
you said Tyreek in there, didn't you?
Oh, you know what? I'm getting them kind of mixed up because you know what? They all seem like they run together. They seem like they run
it's
together.
just like a whole big. That's why it's called universe.
Yeah, like I want to see Tommy. I like Tommy in all of it. I mean, to me his series, he kind of has a breakout series, and I like how he's moving in what he does. Yeah.
Oh, Jay, do you watch Power?
No, I don't actually. I don't. I haven't watched Power at all.
But you know what I'm saying, blind ranking is like you ranking something like 1 through 10 and you don't know who else I'm gonna pick. So should we do a practice run on like blind rankings? Somebody, you have anything? Well, I guess we could do that a different time so we kind of just know like how to do it. Instead, I'll talk about. I'm gonna have some fun. I'm gonna talk about NFL dynasties, but I'm not just gonna include team. I'm not just gonna include this one particular player that's so dominant that I want to give him a mention. But I'm gonna run down, and there's some that you can debate. There are dynasties that I included. I feel like if you want three's a dynasty.
Mm-hmm.
Anything or lower than that is like a mini dynasty.
Okay.
So I had a little bit of fun with this. So number 9, give me the Commanders from 1982 to 1991. They won 3 championships and went to 4 Super Bowls. Number 8, give me the Los Angeles Raiders from 1976 to 1983. They went to 3 Super Bowls. They also won 3 Super Bowls. Number 7, give me Kansas City from 2019 to current day. They went to 3 Super Bowls. They won 3 Super Bowls. They went to 4 Super Bowls. Number 6, give me Dallas. I'll say I had some fun with this. So. From 92 to 95, they went to 3 Super Bowls, won all 3. That's where the fun starts. Number 5, give me Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski as a duo because they won 4 together.
Yeah.
They won 3 in New England. They won 1 in Tampa Bay.
Yeah.
From 2011 to 2020, 4 rings together, 6 Super Bowl appearances together. Number 4, give me the 70 Steelers from 74 to 79, 4 rings, 4 Super Bowl appearances. The reason why I put Brady and Gronk a little bit low because it was mainly Brady carrying it, but Gronk was the best tight end in the league until Travis Kelce came along, though. And the Steelers was the actual team. Number 3, give me the 49ers from 81 to 94. They won 4 with Montana and Ronnie Lott. 2 before Jerry Rice, 2 with Joe Montana and Jerry Rice, and 1 with Steve Young and Jerry Rice, and with 2 different coaches. Number 2, give me the Brady and Belichick Patriots from 2001 to 2008, 6 Super Bowls, 9 Super Bowl appearances. Number 1, give me Tom Brady's career.
I think you're missing some people. I think
you think you can find anybody else that won 3?
Well,
no, that was dominant too.
Well, I would say, what, the Packers back in the day?
Yeah, but they won 2.
Yeah.
They won 2 with Bart Starr. They won 1 with Aaron Rodgers, and they won 1 with Brett Favre.
Yeah, they won 4 Super Bowls.
Yeah, but it wasn't a it was a mini dynasty. I consider
Which one?
the Packers. I consider the 60 Packers a mini dynasty.
No, they were the greatest dynasty in NFL history. They won, I think, 7 championships.
No, I'm just talking about the Super Bowl. I'm not talking about the NFL championship.
What topic were we on?
NFL dynasty, NFL Super Bowl dynasty. I should have been specific.
Ranking them?
Yeah.
Oh.
And I made it fun. I included some players.
Run down your list real quick so he'll know.
9 Commanders, 80s and 90s Commanders, 8 70s and 80s Raiders, 7 current day Chiefs, 6 90 Cowboys, 5 Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, 4 Steelers, 3 49ers, 2 Brady and Belichick, 1 Tom Brady's career.
Okay, yeah, I count. I think the Steelers should be above the 49ers. That is a good list. And I'm obviously a bit biased.
If I did put that's the thing. If we put the Packers in there, then Johnny Unitas have 3 total NFL championships. Then you gotta put those Colts teams in there.
That's what I said.
If I did, I would probably have them.
Did you have the Bears in there? Wasn't the Bears dominant back in it?
For a minute.
Yeah, they only won 1 though. They only won 1. This not teams, this is dynasties.
Dynasty, yeah.
If I would have put the
was
Packers
dominant
in
back in
there
the
and
60s
I
and
included their NFL championships, I would put them maybe anywhere from 4 to 6.
The Packers?
Yes.
Packers would be 1 easily. Or the Browns, 50s. Browns in the 50s. They.
I don't know. I do an air tax. I'm not gonna lie.
The Browns went to 9 championships in the 50s.
Oh yeah. That's the thing. I didn't do NF because then you would. But I also account for errors. It's hard to compare the Super Bowl era to the current day. I feel like the football was a lot different.
It was for sure.
That would be fun. Me, I don't know if I might do one without air tax and one with air tax. Mm-hmm. If I were to do another one. And if I put the Colts would be low on the list because they only won 3. Okay. The Browns would probably be higher if I did, but I'm pretty sure Nick has one. You can include them if you want, but I just did Super Bowl. I just did it for Super Bowl.
Am I doing ranking dynasties?
Yes.
How many? 5 or 10?
You can do 10.
Alright.
Do 5 because we're pressed for time.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I don't know if I can do 10. So number 1, I'm just gonna say the Tom Brady era. I mean, it's 1/6. I mean, I feel like that's self-explanatory. Number 2 would probably be the Packers in the late 50s and late 50s and 60s. I mean, they were Vince Lombardi as their coach. I mean, he has a Super Bowl trophy named after him. I mean, they were just the best team. If you ask anybody who watched football during that time, they'll say the Packers were the best team by far in that area. Number 3, the Browns. It's hard to say because, it was like I said, it was so long ago. But you also got to look at the main stats of championships. I think they went. Otto Graham, the QB of that era, went to 9 championships out of 11 years played. That's insane. That's more than Tom Brady did in 20 years. Number 4 would probably be the Steelers, 70s, Steel Curtain. And number 5 would probably be the 80s and early 90s 49ers.
It's a very, very, very,
That's a very good list.
Interesting.
Still say you missed the Cowboys.
Cowboys in the 90s, they were only good for 7 years. A lot of the other dynasties were good for 9, 10, 11. They only won 3 Super Bowls, when a lot of the teams won 4 or 5.
Okay, anybody got any hot takes? It can be about anything.
No, I don't.
I got one. Troy Aikman does not deserve to be in the Hall of Fame.
Ooh, I don't know about that. Ouch. I don't know about that.
I think he gets carried. His legacy gets carried by the fact he won 3 Super Bowls, even though he had one of the greatest teams ever around him. I believe he had one of the greatest offensive lines back then ever, had one of the best running backs ever, one of the best receivers ever, an amazing defense, good coaches, if you look at his regular season stats, they weren't that impressive, and the playoff stats were good. But like, here, give me 1 sec. I mean, Troy Aikman, I don't know. I think he went to only a couple Pro Bowls.
I don't know about that. Number 1 overall draft pick. Had one of the best playoff records of all time. He was 11-4 in the playoffs. 6 Pro Bowls. I feel like that's 3 rings. I feel like that's good enough.
I don't
to
think
get
he
no
was.
Hall of Fame.
I don't think he was overrated.
Here's the thing.
If anything, I think he's slightly underrated.
Yeah.
What if I told you he never had more than 3,500 yards this season?
I mean,
Ever.
it's a different era, though.
You're right. This is a different era, but
Now
still,
they're throwing the ball. Back then it was straight run, run down your throat.
I agree.
But like,
that's why they had Emmitt Smith,
But,
and they had.
but he also threw a lot of interceptions.
But like, I think going toe to toe with guys like Brett Favre and Steve Young in the playoffs and coming out victorious, I can forgive not getting 3K in the season.
He had 165
A Super Bowl MVP on top of that. Like, you just won, but
Well, back then, like I said, there was more run than throw.
But here's the
Now
thing,
is the era. Now is more throw.
He wasn't a good passer then either. 165 touchdowns and 140 picks. Even for the 90s, that is not good at all.
We don't have to pick up on that conversation. Pick back one. Write that one on your book.
My hot take is that Power Book 2 didn't actually get canceled. It was only supposed to go 4 seasons because Tariq is in college. And when you're in college, how many years are you supposed to be in college? 4. There you go. Anyway, that's it. That's all. It's your boy, your host, King JTH. Actual name Javonta Hairston. Co-host. Anybody want to shout out? Well, shout out to my co-hosts. They can say their names.
Jordan.
This is Simon.
Nick.
We'll see y'all next week.
Information or opinion